When winter turns deadly cold, most modern campers rely on gear: sleeping bags rated for sub-zero nights, insulated tents and chemical hand warmers. But during World War II, soldiers didn't have those luxuries. They faced frostbite, frozen trenches, and nights where the temperature dropped far below freezing, with only field ingenuity and whatever scraps of material they could find. Yet many survived, and some of their forgotten tricks are still more effective than the gear we carry today. This guide explores 9 real World War II cold-weather survival methods that modern outdoorsmen and preppers can still apply today. The first hour of cold was the killer, and soldiers learned to fight it with layers of air. World War II troops discovered that the best insulator wasn't the material itself. It was trapped air. Instead of piling on thick blankets, they layered light, loose fabrics that created multiple air pockets. Wool was the standard issue, but it wasn't the only secret. Soldiers often stuffed dry straw, paper, or even spare socks between their undershirts and jackets to form an air barrier. In field conditions, this was the difference between freezing and surviving the night. For today's outdoor enthusiast, the same principle applies. Instead of relying on one bulky jacket, wear several loose layers: base, mid and outer shell, and fill air gaps with light material like a spare scarf or towel. Even old newspapers can trap warmth if you're caught unprepared. The goal is to insulate the heat your body produces, not chase warmth from the outside. Fire wasn't always an option on the front lines. Smoke and light could give away a soldier's position, so troops had to dry soaked socks and shirts another way. They used what was called the body furnace method, removing wet layers, wringing them dry and tucking them under armpits, between shirts or inside jackets where body heat could evaporate moisture safely overnight. These days, modern survivalists can use the same approach when hiking or camping in wet, freezing conditions. Instead of exposing damp clothes to open air where they freeze solid, use your body's own warmth to restore dryness slowly. It's uncomfortable at first, but honestly far safer than sleeping in frozen garments. Soldiers learned that boots froze faster than feet, so they kept them inside the sleeping roll. Many veterans recalled waking up unable to put their boots back on until they thawed by the fire, which wasn't always possible. The field solution was simple, but genius. Sleep with the boots inside your bedroll or sleeping layer, close to your body, but away from direct skin contact. This trick works just as well today. Keeping gear like boots, water bottles and gloves inside your sleeping bag prevents them from freezing overnight. Use a dry sack or wrap them in cloth to avoid moisture build-up. Your body heat will keep them pliable and ready for use at dawn. When fires weren't an option, troops heated flat stones or metal canisters during the day and buried them under a layer of soil or straw inside their dugouts. These objects radiated heat slowly through the night. In snow shelters or camping pits, this trick could mean survival. You can replicate this today using campfire-warmed stones, metal water bottles, or even sand-filled tins. Once heated, wrap them in a cloth and place them near your sleeping area, not directly against the body. The stored warmth releases gradually and reduces the risk of hypothermia. To the untrained eye, snow looks like the ultimate sign of cold. but WWII soldiers discovered it could actually preserve warmth if used right. Digging shallow snow trenches or covering dugouts with packed snow helped trap body heat and block icy winds. In many cases, snow shelters were up to 20 degrees warmer inside than the outside air. For survivalists, this principle holds. If you're outdoors in a blizzard, don't fight the snow. Use it. Build a simple snow mound or trench shelter and line the inside with dry grass, leaves or your tarp. It's nature's insulation blanket when used strategically. Soldiers noticed that frostbite often began in the feet and hands, not because of poor clothing, but restricted blood flow. Tight boots, thick socks and stiff gloves cut off circulation. The fix was counterintuitive. Loosen the gear slightly and move constantly. Small exercises like wiggling toes, clenching fists or rotating arms kept blood moving and warmth flowing. If you're camping or hiking in sub-zero conditions, avoid compression clothing or gear that limits movement. Circulation is your real heater. If you lose it, no amount of insulation will save you. In frozen regions, fuel was as valuable as ammunition. Soldiers dug narrow pits in the ground, placing hot coals at the bottom and covering them with dirt to trap heat. Mess kits or cans placed above slowly cooked meals while conserving resources. The pits also doubled as small heat radiators for warming hands. Modern bushcrafters can replicate this by digging a small trench fire with a heat-reflecting wall of stones behind it. It keeps flames low, shields the fire from wind, and channels warmth where it's needed most. Long before synthetic waterproof fabrics, troops used waxed canvas coats and sometimes even animal fat to seal out cold winds and wet snow. The grease formed a barrier that locked in body heat and kept moisture out. This was critical in Arctic campaigns, where freezing wind could penetrate even thick clothing. For campers, rubbing beeswax or waterproofing spray on outer layers still works remarkably well. Greasing leather boots with tallow or oil keeps them flexible and windproof. The method is old, but its effectiveness hasn't changed. Their final rule: never let morale freeze before your body. Every field manual emphasized the same point. Mental endurance mattered as much as physical warmth. Soldiers shared stories, sang songs, and moved constantly to stay alert. The human spirit, they found, generates its own form of heat. For modern survivalists, that means staying focused, active, and mentally engaged during cold exposure. Build routines. Tend the fire, adjust your shelter, plan the next step. As WWII veterans said, keep moving, or the cold wins. Even after decades, these forgotten WWII tricks remain practical lessons in human adaptability. They weren't about fancy gear or brand-name equipment. They were about knowledge, discipline, and survival instincts honed under brutal conditions. Whether you're winter camping, training for emergencies, or just fascinated by fieldcraft history, these wartime methods still work when modern tools fail. If you found this guide valuable, subscribe to Backyard Wisdom for more forgotten survival methods, field-tested skills, and history's most practical lessons for modern life. Share this video with someone who loves old-school ingenuity, because some wisdom never gets outdated.